We are absolutely surrounded by complexity. It's a constant flood of raw data, messy human needs, and really abstract technology. So how do we make sense of any of it? Well, the answer is design. In this explainer, we're going to break down how design works as a powerful translator, turning all that chaos into a clarity we can actually use.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Every single app on your phone, every website you browse, they all started as this jumble of ideas, of needs, of data, and lines of code. So how did they get from that to the polished, intuitive tool you use without even thinking? That journey, well, that's the magic of design as translation. And this right here, this is the perfect picture of that entire journey. On the left, you've got this wall of dense, complex information. That's the raw material, the chaos. And on the right, you see the Color Recife app, something clean, simple, and totally understandable. The entire job of a designer is to bridge that gap. So let's break down exactly how they do it. Okay, section 1, from chaos to clarity. We're going to start with the most basic challenge in all of modern design, which is how to create meaning when we're all basically drowning in information.
When you get right down to it, design is all about solving problems. It's this incredible act of taking all these complex ingredients, what people need, what the data says, what the technology can do, and translating them into one single, coherent, and useful experience.
And that brings us to this really powerful idea: thinking of design as rhetoric. Just like a great speaker uses words to persuade you, a designer uses visual elements, structure, and interaction as functional tools. Every single choice, a color, a button, a font, it's a deliberate decision made to get a specific result.
Section 2, starting with people. Because every great act of design translation starts right here. Before you can even think about building something, you have to translate real human behavior into insights you can actually work with. And the number one tool for that is empathy. But based on the work of Indy Young, we're not talking about sympathy or feeling sorry for someone. No, this is a practical skill. It's about setting aside everything you think you know and just listening, truly understanding someone else's world, their logic, their goals.
So how do you make that empathy feel concrete? Well, designers create what are called personas, just like Lucas here from the Nikita game concept. Now, Lucas isn't a real person, but he represents a whole group of real people. He gives the design team a face, a story, a human to check in with for every decision they make. And a lot of this research happens out in the real world. For instance, when designing the Ole payment app for street vendors, the team realized a formal survey was just not going to work. So instead, they went out and had conversations, asking simple, direct questions to get to the heart of the real-world problems. It's all about meeting people where they are. Section 3, giving ideas form. Okay, so you've built that empathy. You understand the person. Now what? The next step in translation is turning all those human needs into a real structure, a place where ideas can start to take shape.
I absolutely love this quote from the comics genius Will Eisner because it just nails this step. Think about it. In comics, you arrange panels in a sequence to tell a story. In digital design, you're doing the exact same thing, arranging elements to guide a user, constructing a narrative with visuals.
Now, this translation from an idea to something you can actually use doesn't happen all at once. It's a journey. You start with messy, quick sketches on paper just to get ideas out. Then you move to wireframes, which are like the architectural blueprints. And finally, you build a clickable prototype that actually simulates the real thing.
A wireframe is the perfect example of just focusing on the bones of an idea. Look at this early design for the Color Recife app. There's no color, no fancy fonts, no graphics. The only goal here is to translate user needs into a functional layout. You're just figuring out where everything goes. All the pretty stuff, that comes later. And this image from the legendary designer Bruno Munari shows you a rule that underpins all of this. It's the relationship between the main shape, the figure, and what's behind it, the ground. How you see something, what you focus on, depends entirely on its context. It's a simple idea, but it is everything in visual design. All right, section 4, the modern toolkit.
because technology has given designers this whole new set of materials to play with. Now, they're not just translating ideas into flat, static pictures, they're translating code and data into experiences that are alive, that are dynamic. Check out this brilliant comparison from Steven Anderson. LinkedIn nudges you along by asking you to do just one thing next. Meanwhile, Shelfari used to show you this giant list of everything you hadn't done yet. I mean, which one is more motivating? Which one feels less like a chore? By carefully sequencing choices, a design can kind of seduce you into getting things done. It's a powerful psychological translation. So instead of drawing every last detail by hand, designers can now write the rules for a design. This is what we call generative design, where an algorithm creates these incredibly complex forms, like this 3D Voronoi diagram. The designer just sets the basic parameters, and the computer explores thousands of possibilities, creating things that would be impossible to dream up manually. And with tools like processing, code itself literally becomes a creative material. So this little line of code here, it's not just drawing a static line from A to B. It's creating a line that is alive, one that actively follows your mouse around the screen. The designer has translated a simple instruction, follow the cursor, into a dynamic, interactive behavior.
Section 5. Telling a visual story. Okay, this is where it all comes together. The final and maybe most important act of translation is to synthesize all of it, the empathy, the form, the technology, into one single, compelling story.
Take a look at this game concept art. Here, color is doing all the storytelling. You see the warm, happy tones in the first act, and then later on, they're replaced by these cold, oppressive colors. That one choice translates the entire mood of the story. It tells the player exactly how to feel without using a single word. Even the really technical rules of the web are telling a story. The CSS cascade, for example, is basically the set of rules that decides how a web page looks. It's a system for creating visual hierarchy, for deciding what's most important. It's translating code into a clear flow of information that guides your eye exactly where it needs to go. And designers also translate huge, abstract business ideas into visual stories. The concept of market waves for the Internet of Things is pretty complex, right? But this chart tells you the whole story in a split second. You instantly see what's happening now, what's coming next, and the size of the opportunity, all translated into a simple, powerful visual metaphor. And this really brings us to the ultimate point. Like Barbara Emanuel says here, the designer's job is to be a conscious constructor of meaning. Every single decision you make is a rhetorical one. It's all intended to shape how someone understands the world and to guide them through it, which leaves us with one last and really crucial question. This whole process of translation gives designers an immense amount of power to shape our reality, to guide our choices, to influence our feelings. And with that power comes a huge responsibility. So we all have to ask ourselves, what kind of world should we choose to build?